This is the GTN Show. Welcome, and welcome back, Mark.
Thanks for having me.
Well, we've had to chase you to the sunshine as you seem to be always on holiday, but thanks for letting us join you.
What better place to be than the triathlon mecca that is Lanzarote?
Well, we're talking of holiday and we've obviously chased you out here, but jokes aside, it's getting towards like silly season of Christmas and people do start to talk a little bit about weight and how you maintain the right weight. And I just noticed a post actually from Holly Lawrence recently, being very honest. She talked about how she lost basically too much weight at Worlds, and we saw her sort of it all fell apart, didn't it, at 70.3. And a little bit here, she just mentioned that on race day I had the worst swim of my life, couldn't fake it, lost my swim strength, and the bike didn't get much better, and it all kind of went wrong from there. And it just made me think, you know, you are as a pro athlete right now in the mix of it. It's this time of year and weight does come up. How do you know what the right weight is to be?
I think a lot of it comes with years of learning to get to it, and you see it with a lot of athletes. It takes them maybe a 10-year career sometimes to work out their optimum weight, and it's not just females, it's it's guys as well. And that's what people don't understand, that everyone kind of suffers through it and goes through those peaks and troughs of being at a good weight, a healthy weight, and maybe underweight as well. I think it's just about finding that right balance.
But I mean, you've got, obviously, if you look at cyclists, you have a huge variation in cycling, but for runners, especially longer distance, the leaner the better. Swimmers need strength, cyclists need strength in their legs, swimmers need it in their shoulders, and none of that goes with running. I mean, how do you find that right balance? I know you've said it's about experimenting yourself, but is there a secret answer, like a recipe for success?
I think speaking to people, that helps massively. I mean, a post like that from Holly will help a lot of people in a similar situation. And I think with the situation with Holly is that she said, people were saying she looked lean, and lean doesn't always mean fast. I mean, healthy probably means fast, but lean maybe not so much.
I think coaches are quite guilty of that, and like she said in her post as well, that it made her feel good because everyone said she looked so fit. And I've even had the same of, coaches say you look fit, but basically they mean you look like you've lost body weight. And like you say, that doesn't mean you're aerobically fit inside.
No.
You can just go on a diet and look really good, but you might not be able to run more than a few K. So
yeah,
I think
definitely.
It's how to balance that appearance with actual fitness, and I guess it's about being confident, so knowing yourself what works for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, in other news, there's been a record broken for a 5K, but a very specific 5K. Someone has run 12:24 dog assisted.
That's fast.
I mean, would you love to run that fast?
I would love to run that fast.
It could be possible. How much do you reckon running with a dog could help?
Well, I only thought maybe 20 or 30 seconds quicker with a big dog, not just a little sausage dog like yours, but a proper dog.
Well, just to explain this to everyone, probably wondering what on earth we're talking about. There's something called canine cross, which is growing in Europe apparently, and the dog has a full-on harness and you're bungeed around your waist to the dog, and there's official racing when your dog's allowed to help you. And this guy who's got the record, he normally runs sub 15-minute 5K, so fast.
Wow. But
he's taken off over 2 minutes by having his dog help him.
Yeah, well, it shows you how much help you can gain from a little pooch. But maybe we'll see it in triathlon. People will park the dogs up in T2, ready for the run.
You never know. I mean, I see it at parkrun all the time, and you get people with their dogs in your way or flying past you. You think that's not fair. That's pretty good assistance, but I'm not sure. I might need to upgrade my dog. Like you said, I've got a little sausage dog, and I'm not sure he's going to help me get up those hills.
Yeah, one with like slightly bigger legs, I suggest. Yeah.
Upgrade needed.
Yeah, a whippet.
Well, on to the weekly poll, and last week we asked you, how do you refuel after your long ride? Now, I made it very obvious that I like cake. Sadly, that didn't win. It came in, well, at the bottom it was sandwich with 10%. Next was beer, 11% of you like beer after a long ride. And then 12% of you were with me on cake. The most popular, you guys are all far too sensible, 39% went for recovery shake.
Yeah.
Some very responsible athletes out there.
Yeah, to be honest, that'd be the same for me, I think, really. And if I
sticking
can't
with
get
us?
the powder, I'd just have the milk, just straight milk.
Okay, well that actually leads us on to a couple of the comments. On what do people go for? And someone here said chocolate milk, of course. There were a lot of chocolate milk choices.
Yeah.
Not a bad choice. There's like another couple here.
And then we had Glenn saying he goes round to the mother-in-laws for a Sunday roast. So good on you, Glenn.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, that's the proper way to do it.
If you can time your ride for your Sunday roast, that's a
finish at the mother-in-laws, straight in the door. I'm just off for a shower.
Yeah.
Food
ready.
Feed.
Not bad. But these two were my favourite. This was Cake, Beer or Shake ? Oh, come on, champagne is the best. Now, I mean, I do love a glass of champagne. Maybe not after every long ride, might get a bit expensive.
Maybe if it's a record long ride, or you've got a few KOMs on Strava, it's worthy of a bit of champagne.
That was Martin Serepes, by the way. Thank you, Martin, for that suggestion. And then this one, which is probably more realistically my favourite, or one I could do more often. Daryl Whitford said, I have a coffee with smashed avocado, very precise here, poached egg and toast with a drizzle of balsamic syrup.
Oh, wow. Some people just live the life, don't they? So later in the show, we're going to be looking at how the pros are still racing and some of them are still smashing out result after result. And it begs the question, how many A races do you have in your season?
By A race, we mean how many times a year do you peak? So you put that race in your diary and you fit your training around it to really perform. And it's quite a challenge just working that out as well. I mean, how many do you go for a year?
I reckon about 3 that I try and really, knock out the park. But yeah, so for the poll, we'll look at the following options. 0 A races a year, 1 to 2, 3 to 4 and 4+.
Well, we want to know exactly how many you do, so do let us know by clicking on the link above my head to vote in the poll. It's time for the GTN Tribe. Now this is when we get to be a little bit nosy and have a look inside your club. And we've had loads of great submissions of photos, videos and all sorts coming in. And this week I thought it was about time we stayed a little bit closer to home because we've been around the world and I think it's time we put a pin in the UK. So we've chosen Tunbridge Wells Triathlon Club, who are based in Kent in the UK. And interestingly, one of their points, they do say they like to travel quite a long way to their races within the UK. And I remember noticing quite a few members from this club racing when I did Exmoor 70.3, which is down in Devon last year, and was shocked to see so many members there. And they said they travelled about 7 hours across the country, which I know if maybe you live in the States, that's not such a long way, but for the UK, that's quite a long way to go for an event, isn't it?
It is really impressive to see. And we've got a few comments from the club. We love to let our hair down and party too. Here's a shot of our awards party night.
Looks like good fun.
Yeah, good on them.
There's one here which I really like. So Claire Roche apparently went from competing as a beginner, like a complete beginner, and in less than a year, she not only represented her club at the Age Group Worlds, or her country in the Age Group Worlds, she came 11th in her age group.
Oh, good. And finally, their mantra for the club is do well, doubt not. And I quite like that.
I love that. That's pretty strong. Well, we'd love to know what happens in your club. So if this has given you any ideas, and there's anything you want to share with us, send in your pictures, your videos using the hashtag GTN Tribe over Facebook or Twitter.
And on to race results. This weekend saw Ironman Western Australia, a hotly contested race, real exciting, and right from the start, because they had to change the course, there was a shark in the water.
It's pretty major. I mean, as an athlete, especially when you're doing a distance that long and the swim is such a huge part, how does that suddenly change your mindset? How do you get your head around that when you're suddenly going, okay, I'm getting onto the bike and forgetting the swim?
Yeah, prepare for everything, I guess, even those sharks. So I think, yeah, they cancelled the swim. They went off in staggers, so it became a duathlon, and they had 20-second intervals onto the bike. So yeah.
Well, it didn't upset Melissa Houchild, who had her second win in just 2 weeks. She'd been injured for the majority of the season, and she's been coming back, I was going to say slowly, but now she's definitely back with a bang. So she won the 70.3 last week, and now she's gone and won the full Ironman just a week later, which is pretty impressive. You know, just a week apart, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
But anyway, the rest of the...
And in second place, we had Carrie Lester, and in third, Camilla Longholm-Borg.
Well, there was another impressive performance, well, even more so, or showing longevity on the men's side, wasn't there, with Terenzo Bozzoni?
Yeah, I mean, that guy's probably the hottest guy in long distance racing right now. He's done 3 races back to back, podium at all 3, so he did Island House, Bahrain, and now he's gone and won Western Sydney. I mean, so it's pretty impressive.
It's such a huge difference in distance going from the really sprinty stuff, and we saw that sprint finish at Island House Try with him and Ben Canute. So he's got speed and he can still win an Ironman. Yeah,
I mean, so impressive. I beat him in my last race, I think, but he dropped out. Yeah.
Oh, you should have just stopped it. I beat him in my last race. There you go. Anyway, second and third. So obviously Terenzo Bozzoni won Ironman Western Australia in the men's event, and then Doug Allen was second for New Zealand, and Tim Van Berkel of Australia was third. Well, there was another Ironman race last weekend as well. Argentina hosted a strong competition, and on the women's side it was Sarah Piampiano who, after a disappointing performance in her own words in Kona, she came out and redeemed herself with the win. Second place was Tini Deckers of Belgium, and then in third it was Magali Tesseri of Canada.
And in the men's race, that was quite hotly contested as well, with Matt Chabot taking the win, Joseph Major in second and Igor Amarelli in third. And comments of the week, and a lot of the comments came in about our winter riding mistakes.
They did, and there's one here that Ryan Flint sent in, and it's a good point. All this talk of winter and yet there's still pavement and even grass still visible. Not sure how much these winter videos actually apply to your Canadian viewers like myself, but keep them coming anyhow. I mean, we can't make the snow, can we? So we just have to deal with what we've got.
No. And then I think, well, the trump card of the week was from Andrew, who said that his best winter hack was just live in Florida.
Wouldn't mind that. I mean, we've come to Lanzarote, but sadly only for a week.
Yeah.
But here, this is top trumps, I think, for cold temperatures. Tommy Saranen said, last winter in Finland, I went out with my mountain bike and it was minus 34 degrees. My bike barely worked.
Yeah.
I don't think my body would work.
I bet he's been in front of the fire all week since as well, thawing out.
But just to top that one, chemistry is the game. Minus 36, I wouldn't recommend it. That's degrees centigrade.
So that's, now we've got a competition who can go coldest. Yeah,
I can't even begin to imagine that.
Yeah, minus 36, pretty impressive though.
Yeah. Well, whilst we're staying on the winter riding mistakes, quite a few of you noticed our bike cleaning technique. Now, I'm not going to point blame, but it wasn't me with my hand on that WD-40.
Well, I think you maybe should clean your own bike in future then, Heather, shouldn't you?
I've been told, but seriously, we did have the WD-40 cleaning the chain and the cassette, but you do need to make sure you don't get it anywhere near those rotors. And if it does get anywhere near it, make sure you clean it off, because you do not want to be interfering with that braking, do you?
Yeah, safety first, kids. It's time for Caption Competition.
Well, Mark, as you're here this week, you can actually defend yourself slightly on this picture we had.
Yeah.
What were you doing?
I was riding normally. I just got a funny Wallace and Gromit-esque expression on my face.
Okay, well,
and I did hold it. I didn't crash.
Only just, I have to tell you. It was pretty close. Anyway, we've chosen a couple of captions. I like this one from Samuel Chin. GTN deserves 2 thumbs up, bar none. I like you, Samuel. Very kind. But Mark, this one, I've got a little challenge for you. This is my favourite, and the winner is Krzysztof Kateniewicz, and you're going to get the cap, Krzysztof. But first, Mark has got to read out your caption as fast as he can. Ready?
So, on a day without Threlfall, fell, nearly fell, foolishly following a fellow.
This week we have a slightly different picture. It is me on a treadmill, or slightly off a treadmill. Have you got any suggestions to get us started, Mark?
Well, it looks like Heather doing anything she can to not go for a run.
Pretty lazy.
As usual.
Oh.
I'm only joking.
Well, if you can do better than that or nicer than that, I'm sure you can. Please leave your caption suggestions in the comments section below.
And my favourite part of the show, the GTN Pain Cave.
Oh yeah, well, let's start off. We've got Murray Pym, who's sent this picture in saying, Zwift Cave, my boy loves Zwift, spends more time on here than on his PlayStation. A rarity in this day and age.
Yeah, well, I guess Zwift is a bit of a gaming platform, so there is going to be that crossover now, though, I think.
Yeah,
kids getting into cycling via a bit of a cycling game, yeah, definitely. He's got his dartboard in there. He's got his front wheel.
If you get bored on your bike, yeah, you can play a bit of darts. Nice.
His front wheel's wedged in to a little box or something.
That's ingenious. I'm not quite sure why.
He's got the garage door slightly open, obviously for ventilation.
I'm impressed at the size of the Ironman banner, whether that was stolen or whether that was one.
You're not pointing fingers, but yeah, you look like you've cleared out half an Ironman competition there. Yeah.
Cool. Well, our next one is from Chris Barry. Handy for snacks mid-ride, Chris says. He sent this in on Facebook Messenger.
So he's basically turbo on his hob. Which is quite interesting.
I guess good for heat training, and maybe if you're cooking some pasta with the lid off, you get a bit of humidity as well. If you want that.
If you go a couple of inches any further forward, though, mate, you'll have no eyebrows left. So just like again, safety first. Yeah. And obviously his pasta's boiling up, so maybe he just rides until his dinner's ready.
It's a good incentive, isn't it? Of like, right, there's my food. I've got to earn it on the bike.
Yeah.
Well, finally, we've got this one in from Tui de Rosas on Facebook Messenger.
Good on you. You've got obviously 2 bikes there. road bike, TT bike in front of the mirror so you can see your position. Lovely.
And you've got a TV for a bit of entertainment and maybe a window. Who knows if there's a nice view behind that.
A nice little toolbox down there so you can tinker away with your bike.
And I like this medal board. So successful, it's overflowing.
Yeah, you've obviously had a good year. Well done.
Nice. Well, we'd love to see how you train in your training setup, so do send in your photos using hashtag GTN Pain Cave over Twitter and Facebook. Well, that's it for this show from a sunny but slightly windswept Lanzarote. If you've enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, like, and remember you can subscribe to GTN by clicking on the globe. And if you want to watch a video that I did recently on a bike fit, then click down here.
And if you want to watch a video on how to train with power, click here.